Now to a really special category. It's our final category. So if you've been saving a special drink, now would be a good time to raise a toast. This is the Long-Term Achievement Award, which is always a very special part of our awards ceremony. But this year, all the more so because our winner sadly died not long after he was nominated. So to present this award, I'd like to introduce campaigner and cultural historian, co-author of the newly published 100 Great Black Britons and winner of last year's Long-Term Achievement Award. It's Patrick Vernon.
SMK decided to award Reverend Paul Nicolson for the Long-Term Achievement Award just a few months before he passed away in March of this year. Sadly, he never knew he was nominated. Reverend Nicolson took his position in the Church of England in 1967 as a minister in secular employment. He earned his living as a personal officer for ICI, which was then based conveniently near Parliament. This seamless mixing of everyday life, religious conviction and politics would characterise and influence him over the next 50 years as a passionate campaigner for social and economic justice. Paul Nicolson rooted his work in the experiences of real people. He collaborated with academics, politicians and charities to get things done. Yet it was a testimony of the people he spoke and worked on every day that made the economic and social causes of poverty self-evident to him. He contributed to changes in taxation, social security, housing, food poverty, nutrition, and child development policy, to name but a few. Reverend Nicolson founded the Taxpayers Against Poverty, an organisation that campaigned for affordable homes and adequate income for those in and out of work. He also established the influential charity, the Characterise 2000 Trust, which helped individuals claim benefits that they were entitled to and to prevent homelessness. During his lifetime, Reverend Nicolson campaigned actively and regularly and was covered in the media. His letters were frequently published in The Guardian. His research was also instrumental in the introduction of the London living wage when Kennedy was Mayor of London. Anyone who sat in the meeting with Reverend Nicolson will have witnessed his inability to be impressed with the status, pomp and circumstance. Ministers, volunteers and junior campaigners were all helped equally with patience and often with humour to understand the problems, and gently he led them towards the solution. Throughout his life, he drew inspiration from Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi, all of whom showed it was possible to change public opinion by refusing to obey unjust laws. Reverend Nicolson died on the 5th of March of this year. Only a few weeks before then, he had been campaigning outside Church House in London, where the Church of England Synod were meeting in solidarity with homelessness. Reverend Paul Nicolson truly was a campaigner who lived and breathed his convictions. He united his belief in the power of people's experiences with his faith, political nous, to fight injustice head-on. Sometimes quietly, sometimes dramatically, but always with courage and persistence.
Congratulations to the late Reverend Paul Nicolson. I'm thrilled to be joined by his son, Tom Nicholson. Tom, so sorry to hear of the death of your father. What an extraordinary man. And I could see you, I don't think viewers at home could see, but I could see you watching that tribute and laughing to yourself about him writing angry letters to The Guardian.
Yeah.
Obviously, you had a very affectionate relationship. And how would he be feeling knowing that he had received this award?
I think he'd just be. I think he'd be pleased that his work had been recognised. It's kind of weird with Dad. I think he'd be more happy that it gave him a space to campaign further. I think he would have thought that it was more about an opportunity to make a bigger point. So yeah, Dad was quite an extraordinary character.
What was the passion that drove his campaigning? What did he want to change?
I think with Dad, you know, he had this amazing faith, and it was a kind of he had absolute respect for all faiths, and he always felt that love was at the base of all faiths. But he just had this thing about injustice, and he felt that it was really, as all of our children, all of his children do, and many people out there. I mean, I've got to say, it's so lovely in these times to see so many people doing so much good. But Dad was just one of those guys that couldn't stand by. So with dogged determination, he set about changing the world around him.
What's it like growing up with someone like that? And I'm also thinking of perhaps lots of people watching at home now with family who have to live with these amazing campaigners. We love campaigners, they're so inspiring, but they can also be a little bit too passionate sometimes. How did you handle that, being his son?
Well, you kind of just get on with it, don't you? It's all you really know. I mean, Dad was very funny, very amusing, incredibly difficult sometimes, a driven and passionate man who cared deeply for his community. So you can imagine that the family, sometimes as kids growing up, we may have felt that we got took a second position to what was going on in the world. But I think the difference is, as you grow up and as you become parents yourselves, you begin to see him as an adult and begin to respect his courage and his conviction from a position as a parent yourself. And then suddenly, you know, the glass that you look through changes somewhat. Yeah, I mean, he was a very funny chap. You know, I mean, he was a champagne salesman before all of this. So, you know, he was very charming and just very direct, you know.
That's a wonderful tribute. Thank you so much, Tom Nicholson, son of the late Reverend Paul Nicolson. And I think we should all raise a glass of champagne today, one way or another. We need to get hold of some in tribute to your father and his achievements. Well done,
To Dad.